Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare here again on the 7th of September, 2024. I'm joined as usual by Psychic Medium and remote viewer Liz Cross. How are we doing today, Liz?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. And this is a follow-up or a follow-on, rather, to the Keir Starmer and the probe that we did a couple of days ago. And we wanted to get Clarkson's opinion. But for the benefit of the audience, Mr. Shakespeare, would you tell them who Clarkson is?
Sure. So, Jeremy Clarkson was born in 1960 and basically he came from a reasonably wealthy family, I think. His father or grandfather has some patent on something. But he basically he trained as a journalist, and he worked on the Yorkshire Post. He's from Yorkshire, up north in the country, and he trained as a journalist. He worked as a journalist, and he did that for a while. And then part of his journalist, he moved into reporting on car events and motor cars, and then he was reviewing cars, and that basically set him on the path um, to stardom. Not straight away, but he met up, he knows a guy called Andy Millman, which was his friend from school, who was a producer or something to do with the BBC. Anyway, long story short, they started this irreverent car review site called Top Gear, which of course is now probably the highest grossing car thing on the planet. He's had various presenters. He ended up with two presenters, James May and the other guy. I can't remember his name, but anyway, he and they've done so many episodes of Top Gear. In the end, Top Gear turned into a bit of a farce because they weren't really reviewing cars. It was just the most ridiculous sort of stunts for TV and all entertainment they could get away with. But he is very knowledgeable about cars. I mean, he has been doing these things all his life. And then he was sacked from the BBC. There was an altercation with somebody over some food or something in the canteen on one of the filming things. And anyway, he got fired because of that. I think they were looking to cut him down anyway, the BBC. He was off in the wilderness a bit. And then he got picked up by Amazon. And about 10, 12 years ago, he bought a farm in Oxfordshire. And he knows nothing about farming, or he knew nothing about farming. I think he just bought it as an investment. And he had a tenant farmer in there for about 10 years. Anyway, long story short, the tenant farmer, after about 9 or 10 years, decided that he wanted to retire, and he basically said to Clarkson, "Here's your farm, have it back." And at that point, Clarkson sort of had a bit of an epiphany and changed his lifestyle. He decided to, instead of um, instead of putting in another tenant farmer, he decided that he would try and learn the farming business, which has then spawned into three and probably another four Amazon Prime series. The farm is called Diddly Squat Farm, because that's one of his phrases he uses. Um, he's had to employ staff. There's a young lad called Caleb who's been very, very helpful for him. But the most important thing about Clarkson now is that most people either loved him or hate him because he's very outspoken, and especially when he was in cars and things like that. But he was outspoken with all sorts of things. Um, you would never call this guy anywhere near the left of centre politically, and so a lot of people didn't like him. A lot of people love him. But since he's been doing the farming program and the awakening that he's had, a lot of people have actually come out and appreciate what he has done. And he probably, according to is it the National Farmer Union or something like that, he single-handedly changed the face of farming um, in the UK. And I know for myself, I've watched two or three, and I think I've watched two of his episodes, two of his full series on Amazon Prime, the first two. Um, and I learned more about farming, and I know nothing about farming, and I've learned more about farming watching his program than anything else. So I'm sort of, on that side as well. Although I've always been a Clarkson fan because I'm a bit the same as him. Petrol head, gasoline head, or whatever you call it in America. Anyway, so he's had a few problems with the local authorities over planning. He wanted to open a farm shop. He's opened a farm shop, and of course, because of his status, the place, got overran and caused some problems with traffic and everything, all sorts of, Middle England stuff that happens. He's recently bought a pub, which is not far from his farm, and he's refurbished it, and he's now selling. Oh yeah, he also brews his own. He's got a brewery thing called Hawkstone, and he brews his own beer and cider and things like that. So he's really getting into the farming. In his pub, he will only sell British food. In his farm shop, he will only sell British food. So he's really, really supporting the farmers, and he's done lots for them because he's made their plight, to the fore. Now, bear in mind that, you've got Starmer, on the other hand, that are trying to pay farmers to cut down food production. So, these things are at loggerheads with each other. One of the first things he did was he put a sign up at his pub and said that Keir Starmer was banned. Now, obviously, Keir Starmer would never go to Clarkson's pub, and but it was a good publicity thing because he doesn't want the Labour Party leader in his pub. It's understandable. Anyway, so that's a brief resume of Clarkson. I've followed his stuff for years. So his early Top Gear stuff and middles was very good. It just got a bit ridiculous in the end, because the budgets were getting bigger and they were doing ever increasing, more dangerous, more silly stunts, and but they did some good. He would go in a car, one of them would go in a train, and the other one would go in something else, and they'd go, drive to Geneva or something, and who would get there first. And it's all he writes very well, actually. He does write very well. He's a very good writer. His books are excellent. And he's an all-round good chap. Now, let's
Well, I think the council and the Labor Party and the residents will disagree with that, but okay. Now, what is so interesting is how this has come about is because the probe that we did, we probed Keir Starmer, we moved him out, and he said to us he wants to stop the UK producing food altogether, or at least minimize it to the point that it's not polluting. There's no pollution coming from the UK. And that we're going to, or the UK, that we're going to rely upon, other countries to provide us the food because we want to be the information age leaders, the tech leaders of the world. And that's how we're going to make our income. We're transitioning away from industrial. So we're moving out of the industrial revolution, the industrial age, and now we're firmly going into the tech age, right? But by doing so, he wants to diminish these farms. And the rules and the regulations that they go through. If anybody wants to watch the show, it is on Prime, Clarkson's Farm. It's excellent. It really is. And it's very entertaining. But you actually get to see what they have to go through. So this is where we are. So we wanted to ask him today his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions today about the prospect of what Keir Starmer is trying to do.
Yes, we do. Okay. Right. So let's get him in the here and now, please. So let's grab Clarkson, please.
Okay, he's had a very, very busy day.
Yeah.
Very busy day.
Has he been busy on the farm, or has he been busy doing things with the pub, or what's making him busy? What's made him busy today?
What's made you busy today? Everything, everything. I mean, it's almost becoming too much to handle. Okay, I feel that very strongly. He really needs to have more staff. But again, he's trying to balance the budget. He can't run all these things himself.
No.
It's becoming really too much. I can feel the stress on his chest. He isn't looking after himself health wise, really. he has gone full throttle into Clarkson's farm. And of course, the reason he bought the pub was because he had so many problems trying to sell food on his farm.
That's right.
Um, so it was sort of a snub to the council and the regulators that, okay, well, I'll just go buy a pub. Yes, he has the money to do that. So as I tap in today, he's very frazzled. He's tired.
Yeah. Well, he's got quite a big. I mean, there are ranches in America that, are way bigger, but he's got a 1,000-acre farm, which is pretty big.
Mm.
What does he think of Keir Starmer and the Labour's plans to, phase out farming in the UK as much
What
as they
do
can?
you think of Keir Starmer and Labour's plans to phase out farming in the UK? Well, I'll leave out the expletives. Right?
Yeah.
But he knows without a shadow of a doubt, in his own personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions, that when you're up against the government, if they have a plan that they want to carry out in place, that he, Keir Starmer, will be successful at doing so. They're unstoppable. You can't challenge them. They will find a way to punish you for challenging them.
Mm. Yes, and it doesn't matter whether it's local government or national government. Unfortunately, the managerial class, that runs things in the UK and in America and in the European Union are just out of control, absolutely out of control. So, does he think that? I mean, will he stay in farming? I mean, this will be a slow burn. It won't happen overnight. But does he think he'll stay in farming?
Will you stay in farming if this happens? No, he just said that he believes the government will close him down.
Right.
It's shocking because also the government tells you what you can grow and what you can do with your fields and what you can't do with your fields. Somebody recently was telling me that that there was some sort of, they wanted solar panels on their field. They own quite a lot of land. They wanted solar panels on their field over there in order to offset the carbon footprint and put electric or power or energy back into the grid. And the council told them no. The council said, no, you're not allowed to do that. And I thought, well, why not? And it was simply because the residents, they didn't want to look at them. Now, how can you tell a landowner what they can and cannot do with their own personal land? It's just bizarre. What's the next question for Clarkson?
Okay. Well, most of it actually is better if we put him 5 years out.
Okay.
We put Starmer 5 years out, so I think we should put Clarkson 5 years out.
Okay, so let's go 5 years out. Let's go September 7th, 2029, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. What would you like to know?
A few things. Is he still running Diddley Squat Farm?
Are you still running the Diddley Squat Farm? No, he's handed control over.
When did he do that?
When did you do that? When in 24? No. 25? No. 26? No. 27? No. 28. Around the end of 27, 28, he's gone into politics.
Let's see.
He has.
Does he want to be an MP?
Are you running for prime minister? No, he's definitely running for a seat in the House, though, in the Commons. He's gone political.
Okay. Would he be an independent? Would he be a Conservative party candidate, or would he be for a reform with Nigel Farage?
Are you conservative? No. Are you Labor? No, God, no, he says. Are you independent? No, are you reform? He's gone reform.
Ooh, that's good.
So, you remember what we got in the last probe? This is kind of, it's aligning, isn't it? It's
Hmm.
aligning to what we got in the last probe, which is they're going, labor's going to have quite a long run, whether people like it or not. But eventually, the UK at that point tries to dump both the Conservatives and the Labour Party at some point going forward in the future, and they try either independent or reform.
What,
Now
what
he's
okay,
going
what made
reform.
farm then? Was it too much stress, or was it too much bureaucracy, or was his health suffering, or did Lisa, his girlfriend, I mean, did she have something to do with it? What?
What made you hand over control of the farm? Because he has a more important fight to do.
Right. Yeah, he probably does actually. Who's right? Did he hand it over to Caleb?
Did you hand it over to Caleb? Yes, he's running the farm
Oh, that's good. Yeah, well, he knows what he's doing.
and he's paid very well.
Oh,
Is the
sure.
show still on television? Are they still filming Clarkson's farm? They are.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
What series are we on now?
What series are you on now with Clarkson's farm in 2029? Series 9, 10?
Wow. Okay.
But now he realizes he's in this fight to save the UK.
Yeah.
As he's talking to me, he says it's been absolutely decimated
Wow.
over the last 4 or 5 years.
So those are the questions I was coming under. What kind of? I mean, you've already preempted it. Has Keir Starmer been a good prime minister, and have Labour done a good job for the UK?
Has Keir Starmer been a good prime minister? Uh, no, diabolical to anyone who has a business, companies. No. What about the Labor government? Really? It's really strange how he's giving me the information too. So what are you telling me about the Labor government? It's like spreading the money out in the benefit system. Now, those are his personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions.
Well, yeah, but they're socialist communists, aren't they? I mean, that's what they do. They take from people and give to somebody else. I mean, obviously, they don't take for themselves. Okay. So, has the economy generally tanked over the last 4 years? Is it bad?
Has the economy generally tanked over the last 4 years? It stayed stagnant. Has it grown? No. And this is the biggest problem. Again, another consistency. Even last year, I think that we were doing probes out how Europe and the UK, specifically the UK, does, and where people are starting to see growth in other countries. The UK economically is not moving. Okay. You remember that? I don't know if you remember that probe,
Oh
but
yeah,
I
yeah,
do.
yeah, I do, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
That's another confirmation.
Let's have some sidebar issues. How's America doing? Does he know?
How's the US doing? It's great.
Is the economy
Would-
booming?
Is the economy booming? It's recovered.
Okay. What about the European Union? How have they done?
What about the European Union? How have they done? Well, he doesn't like them
No, I
quite
know that.
naturally. I mean, given his personality and everything he stands for. So that's a typical answer. But how have they done? They have actually managed to grow the economy a little bit. So have they grown it as much as the USA? No, maybe like a fourth as to what the USA has done. But England or the UK hasn't moved. The needle has not moved.
No, I don't suppose it has. Um, what's the has the Labour Party sorted the um migration issues that people were worried about in 2024?
Has the Labour Party sorted the Migration issues that the people were worried about in 2024. No, they're still letting them come in.
Okay. Okay. And what about um, inflation and things like that? Have we had sort of high inflation over the last 4 years, or is it sort of stagflation or deflation?
Have we had high inflation over the last 4 years? Are things still getting more expensive? Things are still becoming more expensive, but have the wages kept up? No, the wages are not moving. They're not moving.
Right. Um, okay, so we're out 5 years, but but a year ago he turned over the farm to go into politics. What kind of job has Caleb done over the last year?
What kind of job has Caleb done over the past year? He's made him money. The farm is actually profitable, but they've had to work the system to be profitable.
Right.
Okay. They have to, circumvent the red tape, he's telling me. They have to, try to find the loopholes in order to make money. It's
Right.
very, very difficult. Has Keir Starmer and the Labor government, have they shut down a lot of the farms? Loads and loads of farms have been shut down.
So did they just pay the farmers just to not grow? Is that what's happened? Or did they buy the farm and the land? I mean, are they paying farmers every year not to grow, or are they buying the farms off people?
Did the government buy the farms? No, they're paying them not to grow.
Right.
To offset the carbon footprint, so the green natural beauty.
Okay. Does he still hold good does he still hold strong views on the carbon footprint?
Do you still hold strong views on that? Very strong. It's stifling and choking the economy, he says, his own personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions.
Does he know what sort of carbon footprint China are currently doing?
Do you know what sort of carbon footprint China currently have? China's not going to be honest and tell you the real answer about that.
Right.
You have to guess. You'll never actually know the truth. They
No.
don't allow you to know the truth, he says.
Okay. Um, all right. Is he married now?
Are you married? Yes.
When did he marry? When did he get married?
When did you get married? 28.
Okay. Was Lisa, his now wife, was she instrumental in, saying to saying to him that perhaps, let somebody else run the farm, or was it his own decision purely?
Was it Lisa's decision to let Caleb run the farm? No, she pretty much stays out of the decision-making process. She runs the shop. Does she run the pub? And she oversees the pub.
How's the pub?
He makes the decisions on the farm.
Okay, how's the pub doing?
How's the pub doing? He's bought 3 more.
Good old Jeremy. All in Oxfordshire?
Are they all in Oxfordshire? Oh, I think all except one.
And do the pubs all sell his food? I mean, his beer, Hawkstone, is it all, is his empire's growing even bigger then, yeah?
Yeah. Does the pub sell your food, your beer? Yes. Yes. And he limits it to his beer. He's also making some sort of whiskey or some sort of spirit as well. I
Okay.
feel like he's making other things also. And he's making contracts with other local farmers in the area and flogging their stuff in his pub as well.
Yeah. So he's still basically sticking to British foods, yeah?
Are you still sticking to British? Absolutely, 100% supporting British farms.
Have you allowed Coca-Cola to be sold in your pub?
Are you allowing Coca-Cola to be sold in the pub? No.
See, that's currently the situation. You won't allow it because it's not British. Um, so he's okay. Right. Right, I've got to find out. Let's put him out another. Let's put him out another 2 years. So 7 years from now, please, Liz.
Okay, so September 7th, 2031, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. He's back in London and he lives during the week. Are you during the week in London?
Okay. Is that because he's a member of parliament?
Is that because you're a member of parliament? Yes, he was elected hands down. It was a landslide.
Good.
Are you going to run for prime minister? He might.
You know how many people would be happy about that? Lots. I mean, the establishment wouldn't, but a lot of everyday folk would be.
He
Okay.
would be like your UK version of Trump in a way.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he's rich. He's not as rich as Trump, but yeah. I mean, he's still wealthy. But um,
Okay, so I'm asking
what?
Spirit. I'm asking Spirit, will Jeremy Clarkson at some point run eventually for prime minister? And I'm getting a yes, he will.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you don't run for prime minister in the UK, and it's not like the American election
No.
thing. You are selected, and normally you're only selected by, through your party, which is either Conservative, Tory, or Labour. I mean, nobody voted for Rishi Sunak, for example, or Liz Truss, the previous one. I mean, Boris, you could understand that they did, and in a way, you can say that people have voted for Starmer because he was the leader of the Labour Party, and everybody knew that if the Labour Party won the election, then he would automatically become prime minister. So he would have to be battling the main parties. Um, did Is Nigel Farage still an MP?
Is Nigel Farage still an MP? He is.
Okay.
And he's causing quite a stir. I mean, this what's coming out now is, is so opposite to the ideology that has been running. You know what I mean? Like this whole thing of, we want this, and this is the type of country we want, and this we're moving into the, information age, and we're gonna be like high tech producers. I see a lot of things for Keir Starmer. He wants to be like the microchip capital, like creating microchips in the world, right? A lot he's inviting tech companies to come and do business in the UK. That's what he's trying to do.
Well,
He believes in the future going forward that these tech companies will make so much money, and then when he starts taxing them, right? That's when he is really that's when it's going to be very profitable for the UK.
Well, the thing is, okay, in theory, that sounds like a bit of a plan. Um, the problem with that is he's competing with obviously Taiwan, China, and Silicon Valley. And the other thing is that if he manages to attract tech companies, and there's nothing wrong with that idea, but if he does and they start making a lot of money, and he then starts using his, taxing things, they will leave. Capital is always treated best. Goes where it's treated best. And if you have companies like that that are just taxed out of oblivion, they will leave.
Mm,
You have to understand that it's a low tax environment that keeps people, not a high tax. You know,
right.
nobody. I mean, in the 70s. So when Labour were in power in the 70s, they had this ridiculous tax of like 90% income tax, and over a certain level. And famous people, the Rolling Stones, film stars, anybody in England who had any, they were out, they left. They take their money and they go. See, unlike the US, where you're taxed globally wherever you are, you're not in England, and in many other countries. So you literally can move to France, you can move to Monaco, you can move to Liechtenstein or wherever, and you're becoming their tax system, which is lots more beneficial. Nobody wants to pay 90% tax. That's just ridiculous. So if Starmer is, Starmer on the one hand seems to have a few good ideas. Not killing off the farms is not a good idea. I mean, because he's going down a false narrative of all of that. But if he wants to attract any company, not just tech, any company to the UK, he'll probably have to give them tax breaks to come there. And B, if they do start becoming if they do start becoming successful, he can't then, hit them with the high taxes because they won't stay. So I think he's got a big problem there. Now Clarkson obviously has gone to the House of Commons to be an MP, and obviously he can say, parliamentary privilege means you can say anything. You can't be sued. Anything you say on the floor of the House of Commons is. So has he had an interesting first experience in the House of Commons? Hello? Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was muted. That's funny. In his own words, he says it's all just a bunch of people talking a load of bollocks.
Yeah, well, we know that. That's what MPs do. I mean, but they are part of, unfortunately, the managerial class, who have way above their own abilities that, they think they can do it. I mean, at the end of the day, Clarkson is a successful man, in the way that Trump is, Elon Musk is. They're all, varying degrees of success. They've built good things, they've built businesses, they've done all sorts of good stuff, and and a lot of the MPs that they, that basically have done nothing other than become an MP, but they, the power goes to their head. I mean, it's you could see that everywhere. You can see it now, from the people in the local councils to, to MPs to the people in the European Union and the American administration. When does it all stop? When do people actually start helping other people and being, actually caring about things as opposed to not caring? I think Clarkson would probably do quite well as an MP. He would certainly stir up the status quo. He could learn quite a bit from. Has he learned anything? Has he learned stuff from and with Nigel Farage?
Have you learned anything? So it's learned anything from Nigel Farage? Have you learned anything? Yes, but he doesn't see the problem with Nigel Farage, he's telling me, is that he doesn't have the personality to be a leader. He's not persuasive enough,
No.
right? There's just something about him, he says. Jeremy Clarkson's telling me that people are too, I don't know if it's his presence, the way he presents himself, but people just don't naturally gravitate to him. You have to have someone that is likable.
Mm.
And he says Farage, is not a likable figure, which is why he's taking the lead.
Right. Okay. Is public opinion on his side in general? I mean, we obviously know there'll be some people who don't like him, but has he really, has he basically got public opinion on his side?
Is public opinion on your side? No, absolutely not.
Oh, okay. Is
It's
that
the last, what's left, he says.
right? But there must have been. I mean, if he won his seat by a landslide wherever he chose to, fight it, then he must have a lot of public support there, for example.
There, but the country as a whole,
Mm,
they've really stirred up this campaign to hate him.
of course. Well, that's what they do. Yeah, that's exactly what they do.
And now he's having to come across that he is actually a nice, likable person. Now, people do like him, but even without knowing anything about Jeremy Clarkson, a lot of people just naturally, the name, they just hate him. And they don't like him because he has a lot of money. He
Well,
actually, going into this 31, he's a billionaire.
oh, really?
He
No,
is.
you can't be. How?
How did you
At
become
the
a
moment,
billionaire?
he's worth 50, 55 million pounds roughly. How did he become a billionaire in 7 years?
How did you become a billionaire? He's invested. He invested in businesses. Those businesses are growing. He's investing. He's putting his money where his mouth is. He is investing in British business.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Have any of the startup companies or any of the businesses that he invested in gone public?
Many of the startup companies are gone public. No, not yet, but that's to come. But
No.
he's grown the pubs and he's grown. Have you bought another farm? I feel like he may actually buy another farm as well.
Okay, so he's basically buying real estate, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, productive real estate, commercial real estate, farms, pubs, yeah, but that's what he's doing.
Now he knows how to make money through farming. Yes,
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, that
but
kind of makes
it's taken him a long time to learn how to make money.
right. Well, we're 7 years out now, so he's another 7 years older. So that means he's 71 years old.
Mm-hmm.
How's his health?
How's your health? It's good.
Is he still smoking?
Are you still smoking? No.
When did he stop?
When did you stop? Ooh, when did you stop? 24, 25? Yeah, right around now.
Okay,
It's
good.
getting too much for him. Now, he's noticing the effects of the smoking.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. If there's one thing or two things that future Clarkson, um, you know, back in 24, what would future Clarkson tell present Clarkson to do or not to do or do differently or what? What would he say?
What would you tell 2024 self? He should have gone into politics much earlier.
Yeah, probably.
So that's interesting. Um, Do you think that they're winning and shutting down British farming and going into technology? They certainly made a difference. Okay. It's certainly the shift is noticeable going into that way, but he says, but they're using the tech and technology. Sorry, they're using the technology to spy and catch and monitor everyone. It's not just for the benefit of the country and financial and economically, they're
Of
using it as a spy tool.
course. Yep. That does not surprise me. Yeah.
Has the UK gone all electric vehicles? No, just about. Okay. What percentage are electric now in 31? Ooh, about 90%.
Does he drive an electric vehicle?
Do you drive an electric vehicle? No.
Is gasoline is petrol or diesel, is that expensive now to buy?
Is petrol expensive to buy? Extremely.
Okay. but they haven't banned it. I mean, you might not buy. Can you buy a new petrol vehicle or a new diesel vehicle?
Can you buy a new petrol vehicle or a new diesel vehicle? Well, he's talking about farming equipment. So yes, if
Okay.
you're
What about
talking,
a car?
what about cars? No, no, you have to buy old.
Okay. You still have, and are they expensive? The old cars?
Are they very extremely expensive?
He has a 2007 Range Rover Vogue. Has he still got his Range Rover?
2007 Range Rover. Do you still have it? Yes, he does.
Is it still used on the farm?
Is it still used on the farm? Not so much. No, he drives it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Do you
Um,
drive to London? Yes, he does.
and what are the charges now for going into London?
What are the charges for going into London? 25 pound. For his vehicle, 25 pound a day.
Yeah. Is that the congestion charge or the ULEZ, the ultra low emission charge?
Is that the congestion charge? No, the ULEZ zone.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And is it because you still drive a petrol vehicle? Yes. So the ULEZ zone, if you drive a petrol vehicle and not an electric one, you have to pay a lot more money. So what about the congestion charge? How much is that? Congestion charge for his vehicle is how much per day? It's about 30 pound a day. So
Okay. Well,
you're saying that you have to pay like 50 quid a day, more than that, he says. You have to pay 50 pound a day to have your vehicle in London. Yes, but
okay.
I wouldn't be without one.
No. Does he have parking where he lives?
Do you have parking? Yes.
Okay. Is the would he say that the amount of traffic or the car usage, does London now reflect less cars there? I mean, can you see less cars, or is it about the same as 24, or more or less, or the same?
Has this reduced the amount of traffic in London compared with 2024? No, it's the same, but it's just electric vehicles.
Right. Okay.
Interesting. Now, just to remind everybody, this is based upon quantum probability, right? So the most likely outcome from where he is today to in the future. Things can change and that can change up the probability, but this is really quantum probability. But yeah, I say that, but it's very consistent with what we've gotten in other probes. So it looks like the probability has not changed much, if at all.
Right.
Hmm,
Hmm.
interesting. Well, let me bring him back down into the here and now. Uh, he's great. I love the show. I like it just because it's so informative about farming. He makes it so interesting. I like it. How he was growing his mushrooms and the challenges he faced and the different people on the farm and the red tape and the restaurant opening then closing and the car park drama. Now you can't do this with this field and you can't have this with that one. It just amazes me. I could not imagine if the government told me that I can't do this or I can't. It's just so bizarre. So bizarre.
Hmm.
Anyway, I'll stop this one here. Mr. Shakespeare is in deep thought mode because he's not saying anything. And thanks so much.